This is mainly to set up the Unreal Engine development environment for everyone. I have now received a laptop that has been freshly installed, and we will mainly use this for the demonstration. Before we start deploying the Unreal Engine environment, we need to perform some personalized optimizations on the computer's default settings. I will skip this optimization process segment, but I will explain it. That after receiving the computer, you might need to perform some optimizations. Firstly, we need to uninstall this OneDrive. Secondly, we need to change the mouse right-click setting. Change it back to the classic mouse right-click mode. And our File Explorer and our search bar, it often pops up some history projects or recently viewed items. We also need to get rid of these. At the same time, we also need to configure my computer. Then next, we can turn this on too. Next, let's look at this part. We will just turn off the small widget in the bottom left corner. And then searching here won't show any strange stuff either. Actually, when it comes to the computer, it's quite complicated to customize the computer yourself. It depends on individual habits. We will just demonstrate this part for everyone. The random settings must be adjusted fundamentally. This encryption must be turned off, because leaving the encryption on will cause problems. If we are using home computers, if you enable this encryption and run into some issues, it might prevent you from accessing your data or something similar. So quickly turn off this encryption, disgusting key. Then we'll continue modifying it. It's when we connect the power. We need to use optimal performance and simultaneously turn off the screen and sleep status. Turn these off. Also, remember if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, if you have the 4290, you must turn on the highest performance setting here. It can be handled automatically here, so you don't need to worry about it, because laptops usually have dual graphics cards. That is, both the integrated and dedicated GPUs work, but this power mode we are using, let's change it to the highest performance. Okay, there shouldn't be any problem. We can just set the graphics to lock it direct to high performance. Okay. And the rest should be okay. Let's wait for it to apply. Then, regarding how to tune Windows, it means when you get a new computer or a new system, if configured in our development environment, some metal drivers or QQ, disk, etc. We will compile an article for everyone later. We will now directly enter our epic. And then this part of ours, we have already put these lecture notes on Zihu. Okay, over here. Okay, we're now primarily installing our epic. We can launch it directly from here. Then we click the download button in the upper right corner. If the download is too slow, you can install Xzuning. Then, by copying the link and then download it inside Zuning. Sometimes when we go to download some resources, if we use the native browser, it might be relatively slow. We can just do it this way. Look, after we download it here, we can just double click to launch it. Let me check my lower drive. I have something on my drive called APX. This is something that was left over from before I installed the computer. So, this time we're going to install APX onto the C drive. Normally, when we install it, do not have Chinese paths and do not have spaces, because this way will be ready and bring some problems later on. In our place, it's convenient to just directly throw it onto the C drive. It shouldn't be a big problem either, okay? Okay, we need to authorize this here. We just click yes. The startup and installation are pretty fast. It requires another authorization. We just click yes. Actually, this authorization notification, you can also close it. He should close this here. We talk about control. Control. The user permission should be right. You can manually turn it off. But we can, or we don't have to worry about it. We can stay here. We can continue waiting for it to install. I'll pause here for a moment. I just finished pausing here. It has started. After it finishes installing, it goes straight into this interface. It needs to be updated. Let me take a look and then record it. He needs to update it. We can just wait for his update. The update speed is quite fast. We need to confirm the authorization for this part again. We just need to grant him permission from our end. Okay, then we need to give him the permission for self-pickup upon startup. Then the Epic launcher. It looks like this. It often gets stuck on this interface. Right, okay, that's it. Then we enter our account here. Let's click the link first. You don't have to type it that way, because this is our first time logging in here. If we run into network issues in the future, but once you've logged in, you can directly launch it in offline mode. Okay, we are logged in now. We'll just skip it. Let's clear all these notifications. Then we click on Real Engine. And we're in. Then we have a settings option here. We mainly need to check. If your launcher isn't up to date, you can update it here. And now we have the latest one, so we don't need to worry about it. Next, we need to edit the cache location for the asset library. By default, it's put on the C drive. You can see that in the C drive installation directory. There is a validate cache. We need to move it to the D drive. Then we click Apply. Let's confirm that it's closed. Then let's restart it now. We'll just go back here. Just return to it. Let's double click to start it again. What is this catch in Vaulty? We can actually click on what I previously installed, the one I installed here before. And here's some plugins from its store, or some projects from the store, or official Vision projects. It will cache it in this location. Then, when you use it next time, it can then load it locally without needing to load over the network. For example, if I put the files from this location, then go to our new cache path, then we can load it very conveniently. Then let's restart it now. Then we still come to the Unreal Engine here. Then let's install the Unreal Engine. Then there are two ways to install this. If your computer doesn't have the Unreal Engine, you need to start installing from scratch. If you previously had an Unreal Engine, like me, then you can import the old Unreal Engine version into the new Unreal Engine version. We will also cover this import process later. Then let's install one first. Let's install a 5.4.31 first. Let's install a 5.31. Then we will import the 5.4 later. And then there's an install here. Let's click install. And then there's an install option here. Then we select our desired location. First, let's confirm the location. We'll still install it to the lower drive. Let's create a new folder here. Let's create one here. We call it UE5. Okay. Then the path here was automatically generated. It's loaded into 5.3 here. And as for this option, we select it based on our needs. Actually, we have already discussed this in the documentation. What is this option used for? For example, beginner content needs some high-quality assets. This template and feature, these are some of our examples. Simple demonstration and initial projects. This engine source code consists of some of our GR files. We need this engine source code, right? You can only see it then. The debug symbols are what we use when debugging. If you want to debug the engine's code, then you need a pub symbol. But if you are only debugging the project, then you don't need these debug symbols. These debug symbols are very large. It is 79.41. Then you need to do development for other platforms. These are some component packages for the target platform. You must install them. So currently, we only need to install this one. Okay, let's click on Apply. It will start installing, and then in the spot, it will first download resources. After the resource download is complete, it will request installation. Okay, that's right. Then I will pause this process for a moment. We will take a look directly later. What it looks like after installation. Alright, we have already installed it. Here, it usually downloads and then continues to install. And it looks like this. But at this point, it hasn't actually started officially yet. We still need to formally start it once. We click Start, and at this point, it will perform an initialization of the engine environment. Then, when you open it for the first time, it might also need to generate some project files. At this point, it requests my user account control permission. We can just click Yes. I don't know if the screen recording caught that. The user account control permission. Sometimes, when you use an application, it is designed to change some files. And then storing, stuff like that, it will request this thing. And actually, it should be starting now. But there might be something running in the background. We can open the task manager and take a look to see what it's doing. Oh, in this spot, it is requesting another set of permissions again. This is the IPEX game nature. Can it access the network? We click Yes. We don't need to worry about this. Let's check if we don't have this Unreal process in the background. Then click Start again. It doesn't seem to have started yet. It's a bit strange. I'll pause it for a moment to investigate the cause. Okay, it has started now. We started this time by double-clicking the desktop shortcut. Actually, there are 3 here. This one, 3 should have been open for continuation editing. Let's randomly delete 2. This must have gotten stuck just now. Right, it's mainly when it first starts up. It will require some permissions. Maybe those permissions. If it fails to request them, so you can check the background processes and terminate it. Then you can just restart it. The first time is relatively slow. You might still need to optimize some points or speed up the workflow, but then it will be much faster. Everyone must put the 70,000 engine and its client startup files onto an SSD, and preferably a PCIe 4.0 SSD. The faster the read speed of your SSD, the better. So the more CPU cores and threads you have, the better. And also, the larger your memory should be, the better. A recommendation is at least 32 GB of memory. And the CPU needs at least 16 cores simultaneously. At least 16 core, probably over 20 threads. My computer should be 16 threads. Should be the big 4 and the small 4 and... Right, this laptop is an i5 J2500H. We continue to wait patiently. Look, he's still walking here actually. And then we can see that there is still disk reading happening here. It finally got here, finally skipping the 75%, and it has entered the next phase. Skipping the 75% proves that everything before it, most of the work in this engine, has already been completed. After this, it will load some assets. Yeah, because the engine's most core loading work takes up 80%. Okay, we launched it. It's not easy, not easy. And regarding this area, we cannot create a C++ project here. Look, it will prompt you to install Visual Studio. We will do the installation later. Let's just create a blank project now. We will disable this. Then for the platform, we can select desktop. For quality, let's choose this setting. Then we won't enable ray tracing. Then we can just place it anywhere here. I'll just have it placed here. Let's keep it more standardized. We'll place it here. Let's create a new folder. There's a small detail here. Don't include Chinese characters in your folder names or any weird symbols. Or it has spaces. Also, don't make your folder structure too deep. This can cause problems. These issues include, but are not limited to, failed packaging, or it won't launch, or encounter runtime errors. Therefore, we should try to keep the folder structure relatively simpler. Okay, this is our Unreal editor. It is started, and then I'm going to make some adjustments for everyone here. The editor's optimization settings. Actually, we wrote it very detailed in the documentation. First of all, we will change the language directly to go into the language settings. We'll just turn it to English. Okay, no problem. Then next, in a setting, we will encode it and turn it off in real time. Okay, this is also fine. Next, we need to, in Windows, we take a load the default UE5 style classic layout. This feels really good. This is our classic window. Actually, if we do it normally, we still need to create a new map here. Create a new level. Then we put the level under our content. Then we have it specify our this level. Okay. And at the same time, we need to go into our editor settings. Find the editor settings. Here, we turn off this report. This report will trigger a yellow network request failure. We can take a look. Let's see if we have this log. Let's open this window. Okay. Okay. Let me take a look. It looks like we don't have it, right? Then let's ignore that for now. Sometimes the network request fails. Right. We shouldn't use Chinese for the project name. The project name shouldn't be in Chinese. We wrote the project name in Chinese here. This is incorrect. Okay, then we can just fix it later. How should we change the project name like this? It's actually quite simple if you are using only blueprints. Let's find this project. We place it here. Let's take a look. We will modify it now. Yes, this is related. It means that you can double-click our project. You can change it here. We need to rename it. It's actually quite simple. Let's go here and change it to project. This is just a temporary one. We have the TMT prototype version. After modifying it, let's paste this name. We'll open it with txt. Okay, if there aren't any issues here, we can change this project name. Okay, if we just double click it here, it should work fine. Yes, if it's a purely blueprint project. Making changes like this shouldn't be a problem. If you're using C++, you'll have to change more things. We'll talk about that later. Just look at the name. It was changed over here. And don't change this name halfway through your project development. You might cause some blueprint compilation issues. You could potentially break the whole project. Also, remember that your project needs version control. This way, you can avoid some problems, right? Avoiding the loss of projects or anything like that. Okay, so We completed creating the Unreal Engine using method 1. We have finished explaining it. And next, we will create the Unreal Engine using a second method. Coincidentally, in the previous lesson, we successfully created an entirely new engine. So if we want to import an older version of the engine, first, we create an engine here. Then we select this location. We will put everything under this file. And for this location, because I know that our team's engine downloads a lot of stuff, I don't want to download it again. So I checked it here. We click Apply. Then we click OK. This shortcut, we still keep it. It will replace the desktop. Okay, then it now enters this initialization phase. We wait patiently. You can click to download. You can see that it has already downloaded. Then we click pause. And at this point, we click uninstall. Okay, but we shouldn't uninstall this engine. Don't uninstall this engine. And at this point, we come to this place in our original engine. Let's take a look at this Unreal Engine. It should be here. This spot, Unreal Engine 5.4, this is my older version, just doing the data from before the computer. Then in this location, then paste it here. And then this spot is copied over. And then you'll notice that this spot is very large. We just need to let it copy. Even though it's very large, but because this one of ours is a solid state drive, actually its copying speed is quite fast. And at the same time, it will ask if you want to replace some files. We think in-place replacement should be fine. Let's wait for a moment. And when we are done, let's switch back and take a look at this document. Let's check if anything was missed. There shouldn't be any. It should be completely fine. And there are some concepts here. We covered this in the previous sections. Already went through it once. Let me emphasize this again. Unreal Engine. It's a version. Actually, it doesn't really support forward or backward compatibility. You better develop using a fixed version. Yes. If you are doing commercial engineering, you must develop using a fixed version. If you are an individual developer, you can just use the latest one. We'll discuss the installation of our source code engine later. Let's install the OS first. Then we can install the source code version of the engine. That's right. Okay, the OS installation here. Okay, let's take a look at how the copy process went. Okay, it took quite a while to copy this time. Okay, we've finished pasting this now. Because it has doubling symbols, so it was slower. Now we can just click continue, and then it will continue here. While it is continuing, you can see that it should first be validating the resource. He directly enters the installation phase here. You should verify this resource. Directly enter installation. Yes, he first verifies the resource. After that, you can see that his reading speed is very fast. You must use an SSD in this area. Otherwise, you won't be able to achieve this reading speed. It will be particularly slow. Because the solid state drive here, the second drive is PCIe 3.0, so it's a little slower. If your second hard drive is also PCIe 4.0, it will be faster. After it completes the verification, it will clean up accordingly. If it detects that you are missing some resources downloaded, maybe the resources you imported are incomplete. For example, perhaps lacking Android platform assets. It will probably download those few gigabytes of platform resources again. Oh, it seems to have crashed already. Then enter installation. Then continue cleaning up. This place is requesting permission. I click yes. Okay. Let's click Start Now. Let's check if it starts in the background. It's requesting permission again. We are missing something. Right, this is a great environment. The speed optimization program. First, he installs some basic toolkits for you. some environments like adding things or stuff, because this is a bare machine. In fact, there isn't that environment. Okay, at this point, the client disappeared. Let's take a look. Did everyone actually start it? Oh, here, right here. Look, it's reading the resources from this hard drive. Let's wait for it for a moment. Let's pause here and wait for it. It might take some time, because the first time was relatively slow. Okay, he just requested permission again. It proves that he is about to start up. He started occupying memory and CPU resources. It's up. He finally put up the loading screen. Sparish's thread. The loading screen is displayed. After displaying this interface, you can see it in the application. Then, actually, regarding its entire process, if you have the engine's original source code version, or if you have debugging symbols, you can all see it. That is what it does at every stage. You see, this place is at home. At home, it loads the pre-default module. Then we see it loading the country rig, loading ads, loading mat sound, which is the original sound. It is Unreal Engine 5's new sound system. Right, and there are also some synthesized ones. This might be audio synthesis. It's asset validation and asset management, and then facial animation. And then the hanging particles for loading components on him at one time. And there are also some, it should be interchange. It might be interactive information. These are some pcons for full body. This is a blood card for TCP, UDP. This should be for Kochi fabric. Okay, we still need to wait patiently for a bit. Actually, you can see what location these plicas are in. It's in this location. We found the engine we installed. Here, in the ending directory, we will discuss what each directory does later on. And here, you can see these plugins. Right? Also, if you go inside, there might be multiple plugins. Everyone loads these modules, placards all at once. Okay, it finally reached 75%. We've entered the 80% stage. So we can say that most of the engine work is finished. Because we are using a laptop here, the demonstration of this environment is quite slow. After we switch to a desktop computer, the entire loading speed will be much faster. And this is truly the first startup. Oh, it started successfully. Similarly, we create a blank project, and then we also put it here. Okay, this time we give it this, and rename it. And now we enter the project. Okay, this place shows there are about 7,525 sellers that need to be compiled. Waiting at this place might take quite a long time. I need to pause here for a moment. It just started up. Then, similarly, let's check some of our editor settings. This place is already in English, right? Then let's take a look and confirm it in the language section. It shows that the editor language is already English. And also, at the same time, we need to take our crash report. It should be here. Turn off the bug report and user data. There shouldn't be any problems here either. Okay, and for this part, remember we can take a look. This place can be modified. A global one, some paths for DDC's cache. Then we won't modify this part. We can just leave it at the default. Then we confer fully. It is also turned off. Overall then, we restart it. After the UE 5.4 engine, then we finished compiling after creating a blank project. So for the entire second method, the process is roughly the same. The installation process might be a little different from before, but the overall workflow used afterward is the same. So we basically through two methods of installing the released version of the engine. We've introduced it to you all. That's where we'll leave the lesson for today. Alright, thank you everyone.